What's going on YouTube? It's Reid coming at you guys with a very short, quick, easy video here for you today, but something that I think you guys should all try out if you click here onto the video. This is just going to be a couple minutes long, and it's me showing you guys some sliders that we found that present a very, very interesting, very fun, and almost realistic method of playing Madden. We have a franchise here going on with a couple friends, and as you can see, I'm sitting here at 2-2, and I'm having, I tell you what, I'm having a crazy fun time here in this franchise just because we decided to try these new sliders. We were messing around with some things, and we came up with a great slider setting and just settings in general for this franchise. So shout out to Walking Avenger 59, or Walking Visions is his channel name here on YouTube. Go check out his channel because he's the one that helped me come up with these sliders. But let's just jump right into it. You go over to settings. Here we're just going to base the settings real quick to show you guys what we're playing on. We're playing on all Madden right now, and this can even be done on all pro. It doesn't make too much of a difference. But if you go ahead and scroll down, you're just going to be normal game speed, simulation game style, and then from there, you know, nothing really important going on here other than the quarter length. You're going to want to play 10-minute quarters with Excel clock down to 18. This isn't going to extend your games too much longer than they already would be. Me personally, I run 6-minute quarters with no Excel, and it ends up being just as long. I found that this is much more of a realistic, much more of an immersive experience because the clock is running out a lot of the time like it would be in a real football game. So very interesting way to set up the franchise here. You know, 10-minute quarters, 18-second Excel clock. Make sure it's on all Madden. You can also play this on all pro and have very similar sliders, and you can wiggle them around a little bit just to see how the experience works out for you. But that's all there is in the main settings there. We'll go ahead and go into we're going to go into XP sliders next. This one doesn't matter a whole lot, but you do want to adjust the XP sliders a little bit because the XP is a little bit wonky in Madden 19. They don't progress certain positions as easily, and certain positions have to have a massive season just to get any XP. So this is the sliders that you're going to work on. You want to reduce the quarterback XP, halfback XP, wide receiver XP, defensive ends, middle linebackers, and cornerbacks. Now, those are the main positions. Those are like the playmaking positions, and so obviously they get a ton of XP. So you want to balance it out a little bit, and in order to do that, because like quarterbacks obviously have the most stats out of any position, they get the most XP. So you want to balance that out, and then there are positions that are neglected a lot, like the tight end, the offensive line, defensive tackles, outside linebackers, and safeties, who don't generate a ton of XP, even if they are making plays, because they're not making the same amount of volume of plays, and their goals are sometimes harder than those other skill positions. So this is how you want to balance it out: 70, 80, 110, 95, 100 for fullbacks, 110, 110, 115, and then 85, 110, 90, 110, 90, 105 for both safeties, and then 150 for both kickers and punters, because kickers and punters don't progress basically at all if you don't turn up the XP for them quite a bit. So that's all there is to the sliders. Go ahead and take a screenshot of it. Go take a picture of it real quick. Whatever, depends on what you're watching this on. Take a picture of these sliders and go ahead and try and use these XP sliders in your franchises. Now, I believe the last thing here is going to be gameplay sliders. So this is the last thing that you're going to want to do, and this is the most important thing. This creates a tremendously unique experience. It makes the game feel almost real at times. So what we found for this to be put on is you're going to want to turn down your player's skill quite a bit in different areas. So you're going to turn down your QB accuracy to 32, and what this does is it changes it so that quarterbacks that are actually bad at throwing the ball or inaccurate are going to be inaccurate. You're going to take down your pass blocking to 30. You're going to put up your wide receiver catching to 57, down run blocking to 34, increase fumbling to 53, which all that means is you'll fumble less, actually. That's how that slider works. If you increase the fumbling slider, it reduces the amount of fumbles. pass defense reaction time down to 45, interceptions down to 42, pass coverage down to 45, and tackling down to 35. This is the one that I find actually impacts this game the most, is taking tackling down to 35 for users. It makes it really difficult to play defense, where before it has been pretty easy to play defense. In some regards, this makes it very difficult to play defense, and you really have to know what you're doing and try and scheme around the offense and try to get stops, because if your defense is bad, like mine is as the Buccaneers in the secondary anyway, very young secondary, my team misses a ton of tackles. And so it's a super realistic way of playing. Like, I played the Panthers and we couldn't tackle anybody in the secondary, and that's because I don't have enough invested yet in the secondary. So this slider setup for the user skill, it just feels so much better than the base all Madden sliders or anything like that. So I'm having a ton of fun on this. And then let's jump to the CPU sliders. The CPU sliders are going to be a little bit different. Most of their skill levels are going to be turned up, actually. So the QB accuracy up to 57, pass blocking up to 59, and that one's really important because before it was very easy to get sacks against the CPU. You want to turn that up a little bit to make it more difficult. Wide receiving catching turned up, run blocking turned up, and again, this is going to make it difficult for your defense, and it's going to cause you to really, what these sliders do is they tend to show the gap between good teams and bad teams. If you're bad at one certain thing, it's going to show in these sliders. And so in that manner, it's more realistic because it's going to show your weaknesses. I have a bad secondary, so they can't tackle and they can't cover. That's my weakness. And the other thing that's interesting about these sliders is the AI team seems to be more aware of these things. So they'll attack my secondary. I went like 5 drives in a row where they just stopped running the ball because of the fact that I had stopped their run all game, and they realized they could pass the ball against me, and Cam Newton realized he could roll out and run against me. So they stopped doing that, and they started doing the things that work. They started rolling out. They started throwing deep and burning my secondary. So these sliders are incredible. I mean, it's really game-changing. I've never had this much fun on Madden since we started playing on these sliders. Same thing for their fumbles. Increase it a little bit so they don't fumble as much. Their pass defense reaction time up a lot, so they're going to react to your passes because they're a little bit dumb sometimes. But you turn the interceptions down because not every ball thrown to an AI is going to be an interception as like in real life. They don't pick off every ball. There are a lot of defenders that aren't good at catching, and this is going to emphasize the catching stat. If there's a defensive player that actually can catch the ball, like a Patrick Peterson that has like 85 or better catching, they'll catch it. But if you have, young 70 overall players like my secondary and they have 55 catching, they're going to drop balls. And likewise, you're going to increase their pass coverage to make it a little bit more difficult on you. But again, take down their tackling to 29. This is by far, the 29 tackling for the CPU and 35 for the user is by far the most interesting slider that you can change, because this opens up so many new animations and so much more diverse gameplay that it's just like playing a whole new game. This is honestly like I'm playing Madden 19 for the first time, because I've never seen some of the animations before, because when you're playing on all Madden normally, you just get tackled right away. You can't really break tackles necessarily, so you don't get to experience all the animations. With these sliders, it's like playing a whole new game. It's absolutely phenomenal. And then a couple more sliders here. Field goal power down to 48, because field goals, you can have a bad kicker and kick a field goal for like a record distance. Field goal accuracy stays at 50. Punt power taken down a little bit, because same thing, punts are overpowered in this game. And then kickoff power up to 55, because most kicks in the NFL go out of the back of the end zone unless you have a good kicker who's trying to kick it short. So you increase this so most kicks go out of the back of the end zone. We take injuries down to 15. We're still thinking about this one. So far, we haven't had like anybody injured, so this is maybe a little bit too low. I like to usually play somewhere between 25 and 35, so you can definitely adjust these things to fit your liking. But just keep in mind that this is what we're experiencing. We're having a ton of fun on. Now, the last very interesting thing that you want to do is you want to crank up penalties. And believe me, you're not going to get penalties on every single play. Like, my O-line isn't good, and, you know, we have holding cranked up to 63, but what it will do is you'll get realistic penalties in realistic situations, and it's going to cause you to have to game plan around them. And that's realistic. That's how football happens. You know, you're in a 3rd and 10 situation or a 3rd and 5, and then all of a sudden you get called for holding, and it's backed up, and now you have to do a deep pass. Or, you know, you got a first down, but it gets called back on holding, and so now you have to set up and try a different play. You know, that's realistic to football, and these penalty settings feel very realistic. So you're going to turn offsides up to 57, so there will be offsides penalties occasionally, which rarely ever happens on the base 50 in all Madden. You're going to turn up false start. You're really going to turn up holding. You're really going to turn up defensive holding and face mask and defensive pass interference. So you're going to be 57, 56, 63, 62, 56, and 64. And this defensive pass interference is one that I really like, because you see defensive pass interference in every single NFL game that you watch on TV. And, you know, when you're playing on a base slider, you never see pass interference in this game. So turning this up, 64 seems to be right about the correct area. You might even need to turn it up a little bit more, turn it up a little bit less, depending on how much pass interference you're seeing. But this is showing a lot more realistic to me. And then you're going to turn down illegal block in the back. Excuse me, because those happen on like every play in Madden, so you turn it down because they don't happen on every single play in real life, and that barely, if ever, happens on a normal offensive play. It usually only happens on kick and punt returns. And then you're going to turn up roughing the passer one notch. They're calling a lot of roughing the passers now in the NFL. I get it. They're enforcing the rules a little bit differently this year, and so if you want it to be realistic like we do, and you want it to be a unique experience, you just turn it up 1 or 2 notches, and you'll see roughing the passer calls when they should be called. If somebody's hitting the quarterback a few seconds after he actually throws the ball, you'll actually get a roughing the passer call. So that's the gist of the sliders. Go ahead and take a picture. I'll give you guys some time. I'll pause here on this screen for the player skill. All right, now jump down to CPU skill, and we'll go down to special teams and game options, and then we'll go down to penalties. So feel free to try these out. Increase them, decrease them, however you want, but these are a very unique way to play Madden, and I'm telling you, these games feel way better than playing on the base sliders. As you can see over here, I'll go ahead and show you my record. I'm sitting at 2-2 after defeating the Giants this week. The Giants are a very bad team, and it showed, so I was able to get a big win against them. Interesting thing about this game, here's the thing. Most of these games are going to be back and forth the entire time. This game was 13-13 at halftime, and then I got a couple garbage time touchdowns to make it look like a blowout, but it really wasn't. Every single game I've played, I felt like it's been a back and forth type of game, a real NFL type of game, up until maybe the fourth quarter where I've blown a team out like the Giants or something like that. But when you play the better teams, it's going to be really hard to get those wins against them. So this is a very, very unique way to play the game. Like I said, I'm having a ton of fun on it. If you guys want to see some gameplay of me playing on these sliders, I would be more than happy to do that for you guys. Just let me know down in the comment section if you want to see that. If this helped you out, if you enjoy these sliders, if you're going to go ahead and try them out, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more tips, more tutorials, more Let's Plays and franchises, whatever you want to see. I got it all here on the channel. I play just about anything, so please subscribe. And like I said, as always, comment down below. Let me know what you want to see, and give me any feedback that you have. I'll see you guys in the next episode. I really hope that this helps you guys out. I hope that this extends Madden's life for you guys and breathes a new breath of fresh air into the game for you guys. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good night. See ya.